So we've been talking about absolute values and the function and their graphs, right, and transforming it. Okay, so what about the intercepts, like the X-intercepts and the Y-intercepts? Let's just say you have an absolute value function that looks like this. It's kind of just shifted down a little bit. Well, then your X-intercepts are where it's crossing the X-axis, right? Right there and there, those would be the X-intercepts, okay? So, yeah, that's where it crosses the X-axis. Those are the X-intercepts. What about the Y-intercept in this case? Well, the Y-intercept would be right here where it's crossing the Y-axis. Okay, so if you took the initial, our initial absolute value function, that it has an X-intercept, right? X-intercept is at 0, and the Y-intercept is also at 0. That's on the original. Now up here for our first one, I don't know, it looks like it's off a little bit, huh? I should have had it going more like this. Well, I'm just going to erase it. I'll just make a better picture. And what did I say? I said, don't just throw something there. Okay, there's a better, well, maybe it's a better view. All right, in this case, the X-intercepts, you have two of them, right? They're at -2 and +2. I would rather write those as ordered pairs because that might be confusing to somebody. They're like, is that an ordered pair or whatever? So the X-intercepts would be at -2, 0 and 2, 0. Those would be the X-intercepts. The Y-intercept in this case, you see it's shifted down. It's going to be at 0, -2. Okay. Now, can you ever have more than one Y-intercept? No. You can only have one Y-intercept. One Y-intercept. Are you always going to have a Y-intercept? Well, let's go down to another piece of graph paper. What if I had a graph like way over here, like my V shape? Is that going to have a Y-intercept? Yeah, because there's arrows here, right? It continues on. So yeah, you're going to have a Y-intercept. An absolute value function. Oops. Well, it will have one Y-intercept. One Y-intercept. Okay. You could play around with that a little bit more if you want to. Okay, I'm running out of graph paper. Okay, but what about the X-intercepts? What if I were to have a reflection? What if I had an absolute value curve that looked like this? Well, that's not going to have any X-intercepts, right? No X-intercepts here. Does it have a Y-intercept? Yeah, it looks like it's going through. It looks like the Y-intercept is at -4, sorry. Oops, 0, -4. And then what if I had an absolute value curve like, oops, darn. What if I had one like this? Well, does that have X-intercepts? Yep. So X-intercepts on the orange one looks like they're at -4, 0 and -2, 0. So it's not just that it's upside down. It depends on how the shifting occurs, okay? So sometimes it crosses the X-axis. Sometimes it doesn't cross the X-axis, all right? And we saw that earlier as well. The Y-intercept for this one, I'd have to extend it, right? It looks like it's going through it at, I want to say at about 3.5, -3.5. Let me see. I was trying to do a slope of 2. Nope, -4. Okay, so the Y-intercept if I extend that line, is going to be 0, -4 in this case. So you can play around with different V shapes if you want.